leave a place better than you found it. And I think multiple faiths talk about that. And for me growing up, like we didn't have, a question I had, and the question that sparked us creating Ill Muslims, and I can talk more about that in a moment, but I'd called Sadaf, my co-founder of Ill Muslims, who wasn't my co-founder at that time, but I called her, I was like, why? And I was frustrated. I was like, why does our community not support creative output? And she was like, yeah, that's a valid question, but how do you define community? And I was like, oh, well, and she's like, and she was a teacher at the time, and she was like, well, we've literally just uncovered that this week in science. So community is literally, the definition is divergent populations interacting in a meaningful way. At which point I was like, oh, we don't have that. We don't have, so ummah is a phantom concept. We don't have community. We're not divergent and meaningful in our interactions. We're homogenous and shallow mostly, and sometimes homogenous and meaningful, pseudo, and then divergent and shallow, and that's most of it. And she's like, well, every community has to have a thread. And I was like, I can't solve that for 1.8 billion people that are Muslim in the world, right? But I could solve it perhaps for the people that I know, the peers that have similar experiences to me. And I grew up all over the States and in small towns, and so we didn't have large community. I didn't have a lot of people my age. So how do you resolve who you are as, I was born in England and moved to the States. So I was like, there I was Paki. Here they didn't know what I was, and I was also a Muslim. And so there's all these different sort of identities floating around in this hyphenated experience. Shout out Alif and Rummi again. The community part, right? Bringing it back to community, it was, oh, we don't have that. So how do we build it? And so she was like, every community needs a thread. So for me, it was creative output is a good idea. That's a thread. If you subscribe to that, if you can say yes to that, that's the thread. So then when I was in music, it was the same thing. It was like us, we're third culture kids, or we're of different experiences, and it's not just this thing. And same thing in the political world. It was, how do we look at the math differently to incorporate coalitions? How can we do the thing that we wish existed when we were on the outside? And so it's like trying to live that reality out loud.